I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask for roll call.
Paul Wyatt,
Here.
John Larson,
Here.
Lamista Schultz,
Here.
Stacy Anderson, Kelly Boyer.
I'll ask for approval of the agenda.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second. All in favor? Aye. If you are able, please rise for the pledge followed by the invocation given by Mr. Larson.
United States of America, and to the republic which it stands.
Nation under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Our Father in heaven, we're great to be here this evening. We're thankful for the opportunity to serve in the capacity that we do. We're extremely grateful for our administrators and our teachers and our support staff and our students, and ask for blessing upon them that they may excel in their specific responsibilities. We would ask for that guidance to do the right thing, make the correct choices that will be profitable to this district and the education of our children. And we ask for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Item 5.1, approval of meeting minutes.
I'll make motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 6.1, ratification of expense, payroll, vouchers, tax credits, and activity accounts for your approval.
Move to approve as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Call to the audience. Is there anyone? Okay. Item 8.1, business office, finance update. Is Karen here today, Kevin, or is she?
Yeah, she should be virtual. I think Jace has her on, but I'm not sure how to get her on.
Y'all hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hello, good
Hi.
afternoon, good evening, everybody.
Yep.
So happy, almost Merry Christmas to you all. So I'm, unfortunately not there. I was actually just there through yesterday, but came back to the Valley last night. So I'm just going to give you a quick update, kind of where we are. Our biggest priority right now has been preparing for the Auditor General's visit next week and our annual independent audit that will take place in January. So we've been, feverishly pulling together files, making sure everything's prepared. We sent over all of our preliminary audit requests to the Auditor General's office about a week and a half ago and are anticipating their arrival. They will be on site Tuesday through Thursday next week to do a compliance review of the areas that we previously told them in our corrective action plan that we felt that we had demonstrated corrective action and were compliant with the requirements. So what they're going to do is essentially reassess that and reevaluate that based off of the samples that they're going to select. So they'll be there for a number of days next week. At the same time, so they will be testing us on our current procedures and our current transactions. And then in January, we will have our annual audit that is required to take place every year. And that annual audit is done by a third-party firm, and they will be there later in January. And what they will be testing is our FY23 records, because that audit is always about 6 months delayed, because they have to wait until we close out all of our books and everything like that. So the independent audit firm will be on site later in January. They'll be on site for a number of days. I will be back up there during that time as well to help facilitate that process. And in addition to that, we've just been continuing, to improve our procedures and update all of our records through county reconciliations, bank reconciliations, and, just the overall financial operations of the district. So that's just kind of in a nutshell, kind of what our priority has been over the past several weeks since I spoke to you back in November. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about what's coming up with the Auditor General's office or the independent audit, if you have any specific questions for me.
Anyone have any questions?
No.
Nope. Thank you, Karen.
Doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8.2, junior high softball and football recognition. Mr. Hoffmeyer? Okay.
Junior high football goes 7-0 this year, the eighth graders. I think the seventh graders, I think they went 6-0 or 7-0. So this particular group hasn't lost a game. They're pretty excited.
That's awesome.
Softball, I believe, went undefeated 2 years in a row as well, this group. They're super excited, yeah.
Great.
Well, the high school coaches are excited to get them, yeah.
I bet.
That they
So some of the boys tonight, 'cause it's junior high basketball tryout tonight.
Oh.
Come on, boys. Come on, boys. Stand up. Let them see you. Take a look at you. Ross is here. He was their head coach this year. And Coach Justin. This Ross, how you doing? Good. Want to introduce them? Just a few of them.
Yeah. So we're slight in numbers tonight because like probably 3/4 of our team is currently trying out for the 8th grade boys basketball team, and the tryouts don't get over until like 6:45. So that's where most of them are. But we got Jacob Pike, Tristan Southworth, Caden Judd, Jack Willis, Ryder Lewis, Santiago Castaneda, and then we got Coach Turner, James Turner, who coached with me, and then Bryce Judd. So that was us. But we had 42 kids on our team this year, so this really is a very small number of us. But we, yeah, it was an awesome season, undefeated. Softball team I don't think most of them were also trying out and stuff like that, but they had an undefeated season. We got our hoodies that the district hooked us up with, so pretty awesome. But it was a good season. Had lots of fun, beating everybody, working hard.
That's right.
How many eighth graders do you have going up to the high school?
So yeah, so we had 42 on our team that came out this year, and so those guys will all they're on track to graduate. Good students. Way to the high school, and
It's rough business.
hopefully we can get them to keep on playing. So it is hard when they go to high school because then some of them are soccer players, and so some of them will split. They have to make that choice when they get to the high school level. But I would say the majority of them are going to stick it out and play for the Cougars next year too. So good. Yeah, so it's awesome.
Good job. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Proud of you. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming out. And yeah, congrats.
Congratulations,
Shake your
guys.
hands. Can we?
Sweatshirts, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They are nice
You guys must have
sweatshirts.
already went to the city, huh? Thank you. Great season.
Congratulations.
Next one up. Wrestling.
Congratulations.
Well done.
Good job, mister. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. Good job.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Well done.
How are you guys? Good to
Well done.
Hi, thank you.
Well
Good to
done.
see ya.
Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, of course.
We said that first.
Appreciate you guys.
Next month, we'll bring in the junior high wrestlers. They won the White Mountain League 2. And our volleyball team finished second.
Runner up.
Man,
Great.
they're so disappointed. I'm like, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a good job. We'll bring our high school girls soccer team too in January.
nice.
They're supposed to be here tonight, but they're playing the St. John's basketball team. And
Season 2.
yeah, our girls basketball's crazy. Yeah, they're 14 or 15-0 right now. They won both their tournaments.
That's awesome.
They beat Flagstaff High in their own tournament. Was the 4A state champs last year. So yeah, we'll bring that group probably soon.
Coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Next up, we have robotics with Mr. Gillespie.
As they do.
Did a special CT, and then they sent that to Switzerland.
That's what they're doing.
To the company that, yeah, so I assume it's the same, yeah. Yeah, but I don't think they didn't say they used a robot.
My daughter did her first gallbladder robotically.
guys can come this way too if you want,
You can come this way.
on the other side of the podium.
Good.
Alrighty, I'll go ahead and start this off. My name is Mr. Gillespie. You guys have seen me before. I'm teacher and coach for high school and JV and elementary robotics in our district. This is the first year I can say we have had a 1st to 12th grade robotics team. So I came here with examples and all the students to show you what we've done this year. So I'm going to go ahead and start it off with Trevor Owens, the president of the high school robotics team.
Hello, my name is Trevor Owens. I'm the president of the Cougar Pride Robotics team, also known as the varsity team at the high school. And this year, our year hasn't started yet because on January 6th, we learned what our game is that we're going to build our bigger robot too. It's bigger than that robot. It's about 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. And yeah, we find out what that is on January 6th. So up to this point this year, we have been doing a lot of outreach and research about the systems we're going to run, but outreach and fundraising has been our big thing. So as our varsity team, we coach a lot of teams. Like our high schoolers are all required to volunteer. So we coach the middle school team, we coach all of the elementary and Lego leagues that we do. But overall, it's a lot of outreach and a lot of community service hours. But that's what we've been up to, and I'd like to turn it back to Mr. Gillespie to introduce Ryan.
Okay. So I'm going to invite Ryan Weno over here. Come over here. This is the vice president of our high school team. He is actually in charge of running our Nicholas Elementary team. So he's going to tell you more about it. They just attended their first tournament over the weekend, and they had awesome results. Go ahead.
I'm vice president of the Cougar Pride Robotics team. This year we have had the task to pick up cubes, which is right here. There's 3 different sizes. This spot was mainly to score on higher level items. It's a 4-bar lift. It lifts it up vertically, and then this one just sucks it up and puts it in. The students had a lot of fun, and I hope to do this in future years. But that's all I have to say.
How many kids did we have?
We had 4 teams with a total of
4 teams of 5.
5, so 20.
4 teams of 4.
20, I don't know.
So yeah, they just attended their first tournament. We had about 20 kids from Nicholas Elementary. We hope to continue growing this program, and this young man had a great job running it along with our other volunteers. I'm going to bring Allison Weno up. Allison Weno is another member of my varsity team. She is in charge of running our Whipple Ranch Elementary program for 1st and 2nd robotics.
I'm Allison Weno. I run the Lego League Club for 1st and 2nd graders. We teach the students how to discover a solution to a problem by introducing them to a problem. Sorry. A good meeting that we had was we had them build towers, and we had them pair up in groups of 2. One team built for stability and one team built for height. So when we came back together, we told them, like, these are great ideas. Now when we combine them, you would have a tower that could, handle the wind and handle the weight and height. So yeah, we just teach them teamwork, and it's fun. But yeah, okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. And then for the first year ever, we actually started a JV team at the junior high for 7th and 8th graders. This was a hard transition because we moved them into where they're learning the big, dangerous machinery that my high schoolers run. So having kids much shorter do that was an intimidating task. Thankfully, this year, I was able to find help. I need to thank Mr. Jackson right here. As the coach for the JV team, he's learning a lot and learning what we do in robotics. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Elijah Gillespie and Halo Rodriguez up. This is our president and vice president of our middle school team.
Hello, I'm the president of the junior high robotics team, and
I'm Halo Rodriguez, the vice president of the junior high team. So we've hosted.
What did you just get back from?
We just got back from a tournament in Flagstaff where we placed second, which I think is decent for
Second against who?
second against high schoolers. And
They're in a high school league, and you're
Yeah.
currently ranked what in the state of Arizona?
I think we're fifth.
Fifth in this state in high school. What are you ranked among middle school teams?
Aren't we first in? Yeah, ranked first for middle school teams. This being a high school league, it was a lot harder to get higher placed, but we came in second at our last tournament, and we also got an award called the Design Award, which is for the most efficiently built robot that completes the tasks. And we also had a tournament back in November, I think, where we hosted that one, and a lot of high school teams came, and we also placed second in that one. But I think it was more impressive then because we were much newer then, and we've made many improvements to our robot since then. And I will now turn the time over to Elijah to tell you about the robot itself.
So when we're in matches doing it, there's three different parts. So the first part is an autonomous, which we don't yet have, but it's where the robot drives on its own with no one doing anything. That lasts for about 30 seconds.
Programming.
Well, we get it. We try to score. There's a lot of stuff around it. Score fixes like this into a backdrop, so we have to lift up this, which we don't have to console right now, but it will lift it up and then drop it onto the backdrop.
Drive it around.
Oh yeah, here's the clock.
Curtis, Riley,
It's
you wanna
not
go out
on it
there?
right now. We're gonna make a new one because it doesn't work. But it still drives pretty well. And it has these that go up and down, which we'll have to clone them. It has that paper airplane that we accidentally launched, and it So this is what we do in the end game. In the end game, which is the last 30 seconds of the match, we try to hang and trigger paper airplane. And it actually does work. And this robot is quite heavy. It's like about 50 pounds. And on the bottom we have our drive system. Our drive system with the kind backwards and sideways. Along with and our two bar which just brings it straight up instead of doing that, it just went straight up. So this one is working a lot better for us, and this robot is the reason we have got placed second twice in a row at 2 tournaments. Here, do you guys want to see the paper recording?
Sure.
Give him the coin. Right here.
So this is one of the things we also do. This is one of the things we also do.
Don't hit the board.
Well, you just shoot it like that.
Wow. That's awesome.
And that is a lot of fun.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool.
And prototyping, that is one of the hardest things we really have about the robot. Prototyping is like a way to say, like, you never get things on the first try. It takes multiple times. For prototyping, like on our paper airplane that's right here, we had to do like this. We made like 10 of these trying to get the design right, and so we finally have it right. And even these wheels right here, we had to cut them out in the middle with a mill. And then we 3D printed parts to go in the middle. So that's what we have, 4 of those on the robot now. And, oh yeah, more spin wheels. So they wouldn't fit in a mill normally. So we had a 3D print clamps for them to go on. The gray one? I guess the black ones don't work. Oh. Yeah, so these wheels are very complicated. So we had to make molds so we could clamp it into the mill to drill it out. If you guys want to see some of these, and you can just wait, hold on, where's the other two? You can just
How long does it take to print out the middle on the 3D printer?
3D printer. 3D printing is pretty hard. It takes a lot of times. This print takes about I think it was 3 hours, but other parts on here take a lot more time. Like this one right here took 5 hours. Oh yeah, that's right. And here's how we also have to store. This is what we have to store.
So they came here to show you what they've built today. I think it's amazing that we've been learning these skills at the high school level now for 6 years. So because of my high schoolers here, we couldn't thank them anymore. They are putting in countless volunteer hours to teach these younger generations. Now we have a 1st to 12th grade program because these young men and women over here put in a ton of hours. And we're talking school plus 20 hours a week to run these programs. So they're here just to show you what they have, and they really would like to see you at their kickoff event. They have first Saturday of January at 9:30. They've been volunteering with all these other teams. It is now their turn to build a robot and see what they can do, and they'd come back here later in the school year and show you what they have. I want to thank you guys for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Awesome.
All right, guys, you're good to go ahead and go out. Thank you so much.
Have a great holiday.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations.
Proud of you.
It's so fun seeing it.
I know, it's great. It's great how much it's
It was awesome.
We'll bring you first next.
That's all right. There's nothing wrong with second place. It's all right. That's all right.
That's how you get better.
Stacy, if I could, I had the opportunity to go to their tournament they hosted in November, and it was really, really inspiring. I mean, it was hard. I was emotional watching all of those kids from all over the state. The Valley, there was some reservation teams. It was really awesome. And I don't want to take anything away from the children because it's their program and they're great at it. But what Mr. Gillespie has done is invaluable. And what he's done to grow that program, develop it.
Because I was trying to remember, I was going to ask him, has it been 4 years only or has it been 5 years?
He said 6. Yeah.
He said 6 at the high school.
It's just, it's incredible what they're doing with that program and
How involved the kids are with it.
it's, yeah. And some of those kids, I'm not sure that there's anything else that would bring them out and show what they're capable and what they do and what they love to do and their interest as this program. It's just really inspiring for me.
Attend those meets?
They only had one bleachers open and it was easily half full when I was there. But there were, I don't know how many teams were there, but there were a boatload of teams and there was competition going and they were cheering one another on. It was great. It was super. I'm really glad I went.
8.4 Superintendent Report, Mr. St. John.
Thank you. That's intimidating, though, to watch those kids, isn't it? That stuff that's so over my head, like engineering.
I have no clue what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I just shake my head like I know what they're talking about.
Inventiveness and what have you. So
Amazing.
Look on Benjamin Franklin, and he's doing his electrical experiments. I think you'd be pretty impressed to see what kids of that age are doing. And, I think, too, the leadership and the maturity for our older kids to be working with our younger kids is a pretty impressive part of that whole presentation that we just had with the robotics team. So very cool.
No, I'm not sure if we noticed, they said that, to fly that plane, it took them 4 different designs to figure it out. I'm not sure I could barely fix my bike when I was their age.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I just wanted to share with you a few things here as far as in my report, there was a bus driver PBIS training by our PBIS people from the various schools came in, and the bus drivers came in and they did a training just to help with behavior on our buses. Sometimes that can certainly be an issue. One of the reasons sometimes why it's hard to maybe get bus drivers, because it's a challenging job. And so this was an effort to support them and work on that. And we're going to continue to do that and try to do it just kind of as an onboarding thing, because really it's important, and we just can't assume, that they have those skills to work with some of the different things that they might have to deal with as a bus driver. So it's fantastic that they're doing that, and you could read through that. I don't know if you have any questions or comments about it. They said in general it was taken well. There was some that had a little pushback, and that's kind of typical sometimes with new things, but it's definitely something we want to work at doing. So I wanted to share with you that effort that was put in that area. Some good news with a grant award from ADE for WMI. It's about $171,000. We're planning on doing some positions with that, so it's just a lot of adult help. The problem will be finding them, but there is a budget. There is funding for that to get quite a bit of one-on-ones. I think a couple extra paras. You probably will have that on your agenda in January to know exactly what those are to approve. Some tutoring that she's looking at, and another position actually. So it's $170,000, $171,000. So it's a significant amount of money to help with, essentially to help them be successful. So it's a graduation rate grant is what it's for. So that's exciting, good stuff. As mentioned, so it's kind of a repeat of a few things that I have in my report with Mrs. Smith in the financial report, the business office report, but the Auditor General is coming next week. So we turned in that corrective action plan on October 5th, or approved it on the 5th and sent it in on the deadline there. And now they're coming out to verify what we sent in. So we're excited about that, a little nervous about it too, of course, but they're coming next week. So hopefully that goes well, and we'll report to you as quick as I can what the results are. The one thing I mentioned, this is kind of disappointing for me in a way, but the Certified Compensation Committee, the 301 Committee, so I changed the name of it a little bit because it's really about a few other things, not just 301. So I just call it the Certified Compensation Committee. But as you know, a few different months we've been looking at kind of bringing back a salary matrix, which is, it's known around the state, but it's becoming less and less common. And so I'm kind of dragging my feet up on it, and mostly because, not that I care necessarily what the majority is always thinking, because the majority is not always right, but it seems like it's going the other direction in Arizona. And I can't quite put my finger on it to why. What I've heard is I just don't feel it's sustainable. Well, sustainability with funding is always a question, and you never for sure know if you're going to have an issue with whether it be the economy or what is the main funding part of our formula, which is enrollment. Any one of those two can certainly make a big difference into what our budget will be able to handle. And I don't think what we're doing in terms of just the new teacher salary schedule, which, guys, I wish I could go back and know when we made that switch. For some reason in my head, it's around 10, 12 years ago. It's not necessarily horrible. It's just that in the end, and this is what happens across the state too, because they do this, you'll have that scenario where our current staff or our retained staff will benefit if they were to quit and come back and get placed on that new schedule, right? And we've pretty much set the precedent that we're not okay with that. I certainly don't really like that as a vibe for the district. I think it's something that if we could change, so try to solve it, we should. And plus, using that new teacher schedule, when we make that decision, which we have made over the years, to go ahead and just apply that to our current staff because we don't like it, we don't think it's palatable, we don't really know what we just spent. So that's awkward. Not the best of ways to administer things and to face a budget. So, we kind of have a bit of an idea probably, but we really don't know. So it makes sense to me to try to go back to the salary matrix, but I just can't understand why nobody else is doing that. And so I feel like we just want to maybe look at that a little bit longer, make sure that that committee, you as a board and people are kind of thinking about these different scenarios, whether we stay with the new teacher schedule or just go to back to a salary matrix where we all fit. The other part of that, the reason that I have some reason to step back a little bit is we do have certified staff, maybe because of the fact that we've been on this other system and probably a few other factors as well, but we have people that if we were to go to that, they would be properly placed. Some would be a little low, so they would move up, which we have to have the funding for that if we still even eventually put it on the agenda to go to it. And then we have some that would be, I guess, we're in the red or they're above it. They don't fit on there, so we would have to, you'd either have to make them wait, which I don't think is palatable. I told them I won't do that. I would not be, I'm not going to be the one to recommend that to the board. But you could do that. So if they're over, you just wait till they catch up. So there would just be no raise until they got caught up over there, either by their years or moving over, or because we move our base up. But they would have to wait. And so I didn't want to do that. So then we'd grandfather them in. We just place them sort of arbitrarily by wherever their number is. That's where they are. It doesn't have anything to do with their actual years or their actual schooling. All those people we would grandfather in, if that makes sense. So then that's fine. That's not going to cost us anymore. That's part of our budget anyway. But it's a little awkward it will be awkward to move to that salary matrix as well. And so for better or for worse, talking with the committee, I thought we should just kind of table it for now. I have some anxiety about it. It really is because it seems like there's less. After talking with Mrs. Smith, she says, well, most of them are going away from that. And I'm like, yeah, but it seems to cause problems. So we should try to solve that. So it still exists, but it isn't a major problem as long as we always pass the language with that new teacher schedule that says we will apply it to our current staff if it benefits them, right? Which is what we did last year. And we could easily do that going forward. It's just, again, that means we might be spending some money. We can try to calculate it, and we can actually measure it. It's pretty common for districts also to say, if I'm doing a 2% for our current staff, maybe only add 1% to that schedule. And that would probably mitigate it to be pretty much, it's going to be less. But if we add 2% and 2%, there's a good chance we're going to have some problems, and people are going to go, man, I'd be better off quitting, right? Which we don't want to do. So right now, by default, we're going to kind of stick with that. But I think that knowledge of knowing we need that language. Or if we say, well, we just can't afford it, but this is the way it's going to be, I'm sorry, we have to live with it, that's fine too. We just going into it when we're looking at our certified salary increases, we have to understand that we should add that language if that's what we want, what we wish to do, right? So kind of a knowledge that's important in regards to that. So you can always move to it. It's just a matter of I don't know, want to make sure that it's the right move. Seems weird to go back to do what we got rid of because we didn't like that. Does that make sense? So, and it's everybody's dealing with this. So it's not just us, but. So we can have a little discussion here too. It's me reporting, but I'm certainly, if there's something you guys want to share back, it's good for me to hear that now too.
Were the members of the committee also kind of in agreement that it was smart to table it for now, or was that?
I think they gave me some due respect there. They didn't really say too much. I think the one was actually sick. She was going to be pretty mad at me, so I better bring her a coffee because I know she really felt like we needed to get to this. They're looking for some consistency and some, what they would, fairness, I guess. So we are still going to continue to look at our language because part of that is how we place them. So sometimes people get placed subjectively by different administrators. So I think we should have some good policy. So if I'm going to do that, or whoever's going to do that, they should have to get off policy, come with transparency and share that with the board and get that approved. So the language, which would be in policy, said here's what we try to follow when it comes to how we're going to determine what years count and what doesn't count. Same thing when we do have policy with the same thing with moving over in terms of your education. There should be language in there that tries to keep us consistent. We always want some flexibility because you know how it gets messy, but the flexibility can always come. You can get off of a schedule. You just need to transparently say, okay, we're going to offer, we can't get this person if we don't offer them this. Are you okay with that? Or even put it in the language. I was talking to a district down in the valley where they have language that says if this is what they were paid in the neighboring district, we can pay them the same. Whether that's good language or not, who knows, but that's something for that committee to discuss, and if we think it is, we'll bring it to you guys to approve. But I think that you should see some, somewhere in the next few months, some language that at least the committee likes for, you know, for some consistency in regards to how we place people on those, whether it be either one. It doesn't matter if it's the new staff or whether it would be a salary matrix. That language would apply either way.
Great.
I did share the cell tower agreement with you. That's not on this meeting because we're still awaiting some exhibits. If you can picture it, though, we're looking at doing one of the baseball lights. It would be over by the water tank, over in that area with a little 30 by 30 space. They'll replace one of those poles, so we'll have a new pole. And hopefully better cell service. I mean, even today I was over at Nicholas and I trying to make a couple different phone calls and terrible. And I thought it was better over there. So it's kind of bad everywhere. So that tower will benefit us as a district and really even the community. So I'm hoping that that's something that we can approve right away. And the city's good with it because it's just replacing a pole. And if we tried to do our own, like a tree type of thing, then it's different. So I think the pole is definitely the way to go.
And then will we still have to enclose it, the actual tower itself?
No, there's I don't know what kind of, I don't know what, they'll have a, yes, and it can be cinder block, so it can look really nice. They can also just do the metal fan.
But they'll provide that?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Item 9.1.
One last thing there.
Sorry, okay.
And then just that wasn't talked about by Mrs. Smith in hers, but we do have an issue that I want to make sure you guys are aware of in terms of tax remittance that started back in May. And so we're dealing with that issue. I do feel pretty confident because it certainly wasn't on purpose, wasn't willing or anything like that. And we have a good reason behind how that happened. We're also looking into, it doesn't talk about, and I don't want to say anything that would make me slanderous or anything, but we are looking into if there's any other kind of recourse for kind of why that happened, because it really shouldn't have happened. And the money was there, but it just didn't happen. So I can't go into too much more detail on that right now, but do want to make sure everybody's aware of a tax issue there it is taken care of now and going forward. We're just working with the IRS. So it's an unfortunate thing and just part of some of our transition.
Item 9.1, classified personnel for your approval. We have new staff, substitutes, and summer food stipends for your approval.
Make motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.2, classified resignations, transfers, and terminations for your approval.
Motion we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.3, classified salary schedule, Mr. St. John.
Okay, so we know that from either state law or federal law that we have a January 1st deadline to increase the minimum wage by 50 cents. And so I've been looking at this schedule since last spring, kind of hoping to adjust it. I think we're in agreement that it needs to be adjusted some, although what adjustments, there's definitely some. some differences in how we might think. But that was difficult to work through in the spring for me because we just couldn't quite get the information that we needed, and had other issues and things that we were working through in regards to the budget. And so because we have that 50 cent, normally you wouldn't be doing, contracts are good for 23, 24, but we have to make these changes with all our, say, about 150 classified employees. This would be a time to go ahead and just make the adjustment in any case. But it's not normal to do it right now. But so we worked as an administrative team to try to look through those, worked with Mrs. Smith to try to work through those. Some of the changes are just to try to make the hierarchy work, like in the business office where you might go from this, kind of have, I can move up, type of thing, and kind of do different things. And then that might actually lead to some homegrown people that might even be able to move in when we lose different people. But there's definitely, guys, there's no book or template or anything like that you can say, well, this is how you're going to determine. I mean, you could even do some market analysis. And I have looked actually at Snowflake and Blue Ridge, and it's really kind of hard to tell. They're quite a bit different than ours. They have some different titles to some of those positions, and even if they're the same title, the job description might be quite a bit different, actually. So it's really hard to know, and but I know that a lot of people like those things too. And so I just know that anytime you're looking at salary schedules, it's a little bit of a can of worms, right? Because people have these different views. Can we do this? Can we do that? I was talking to a director and said, hey, if they have this extra certification or something, can we pay them a little bit more? I said, look at it this way. If I give you $200,000, you spend it how you want to spend it. Do you want to, but if you're going to use it to the best of your ability, you want to pay them right at the best you can now. That's to retain. But then, you know what, when you got to go look, then that's what you have too. You're going to probably want that best number you can to go look. And so that's how I always look at it. And we've talked about this when we reset the administrative schedule too. It's really about just doing the best we can for the people we have. It's not really based on education, performance, all these different things, because really we don't get funded that way. And we don't have the flexibility to do. If you're going to do it, you're usually playing a little shell game where you save some of that money that you have in the pot, pay them less, so then you can give them that money for these other things, which is good. But to be fair, then you would want a lot more money in the pot in order to do that. So you can also, in other words, recruiting and retaining kind of fight against each other a little bit, right? They both take money. And we used to have some limitations, right, with our funding and our formulas, which, is set by the legislature, not by us. The only thing we could possibly do to ask more money is to do an override levy, right? That's the only thing locally we can do to really make a difference. Except for our amazing, we get great gifts and donations. Those are super, right? That's why those things mean so much to us. And we can do grants and stuff like that. But really, otherwise, it doesn't have anything to do with our tax base or anything like that. There's a formula by the state that has the power of the purse. They set what we have. So we have to work within those bounds to make sure we have a solvent. So whatever money we are doing, we have that to pay, right? We got to be intelligent that way with our budget. So that is a chunk of money. That's about around a $450,000 cost to the budget to if we were to approve that particular classified salary schedule that you have in front of you. So it's a chunk of money. The 50 cents for everybody, if we were to do that, is about $190,000. But these were things we thought about when, certainly were in our minds when we were establishing our budget back in the fall. Wasn't.
We knew that this was going to be happening.
If it's sustainable.
Well, we didn't have this. We hadn't put together, at least try to put together an adjusted salary schedule. So to know that it was exactly $450, no. But we didn't know until, if you remember our October meeting, really what was left over from. So until that point in time, then that gave us some good feedback about how things were going. But we based this budget also on a higher enrollment than what we currently have. Even though it was conservative, it was based on last year's numbers. It wasn't more. So that's probably about 350 gone. You just never know what's going to happen. You can have a tax remittance issue that you got to take care of, which hopefully that turns out to be not fine. But right now, that that's a budget thing. So,
I think that's what leads to me having some reservations about the salary schedule. We just know it's around $450,000. We don't actually have a set number in front of us. We don't have any data that's behind this, this presentation. And I think that kind of bothers me a little bit, not knowing exactly what's behind it. And if the fact, not knowing if there was a committee that looked into it. We had talked about having a committee, and Stacy and I were going to work with you and whomever, to kind of look at this and work with Karen as well. But I think there's so many balls up in the air right now as far as not knowing where we're going to fall with the possible remittance issue and with our audit coming up, and hopefully everything will go well with that. I personally feel better tabling this portion of the salary schedule. Let's move forward with the 50% that we have to approve. And I know that you and I had spoke earlier, and Karen was like, if we were to do something like that, then do it across the board for all classified employees at this point in time, and then kind of determine, what we were going to do with certified, admin, and classified all in, at one time. We'll know what kind of chunk of money we're going to be dealing with at that point in time and what we're presenting to the board. But that is just my recommendation.
And if the board wanted to go that route, it would be probably best to then make another adjustment. If we want to make that adjustment, do that for 25. In other words,
24, 25.
Yes. So when we're
Doing everybody
doing
else's.
those contracts, it would be definitely best. Just because it is a ton of work to do 150 employees and go and through it's doable. I mean, they're not going to do the work, but it's just kind of makes sense to
Do it all at one time.
to push it then when you're doing those contracts.
Right. But then we know what kind of money we actually have, and we can make sure that we're being equitable across the board, certified, classified, and administratively. So, you know what I'm saying? Right now, we're thinking 450, but we really don't have anything in front of us telling us how it's broken out. And then, then we have certified to tend with and admin that we have to work with as well. And we want to be fair.
Yeah, we're considering that too. We do have that, as far as I'm not going to share
No, and I'm not asking you to. You just explained what we're thinking about doing, with the certified. Well, I think we kind of need to extend that a little bit further with the classified as well. But that's just my recommendation.
You would know more later, of course. That's always the case. But it's not so much about this year. It's really about future years in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Who all was involved in putting together this proposed schedule?
So the whole administrative team has looked at it. We didn't.
Who all is on the administrative team?
Principals, directors, anybody that would have people that they evaluate.
And how much time was spent on developing this? Was it one meeting? Was it over the course of several meetings?
So much meetings. It was just more
Emails back and forth, or
feedback. Yeah.
Okay.
Because in the end, I think, Lemis, it's just so hard to. I mean, I guarantee you, I get emails from the individuals explaining their work and the extra work that they have to do and these different things and why that's. So I get that. It's just I always unfortunately have to tell them we're not really, we don't negotiate, right? We're not, it's in a union. And so I get it. I get that. And I appreciate it so darn much. Doesn't seem like it because the numbers don't, that schedule won't match it. And that's just the hard part of my job and kind of the cold heart. You could sit in meetings and talk about that all day long. And there really isn't a right or a wrong. There just isn't. No matter how we do it and how many ways we want to look at it, it's just this is what we think is right. So, so it's tough. And when you're looking at a salary schedule, it's tough.
And Karen did participate in at least looking at this and gave it her blessing. Or did she have concerns that we haven't heard about yet? Or no?
Can I jump in?
Oh, you're here. Yes.
I'm here. I'm coming in over speaker.
It's on us. I know, right?
Yeah, sorry. That's the hard part about being remote. I don't want to interrupt anybody, but I wanted to let you know that I have worked with Kevin on this. I actually took every staff member who is currently on our payroll, and I calculated out what the cost would be. So that the numbers that Kevin was providing you are based off of our actual staff and what that proposed increase would be. So we took where everybody currently is, what that cost would be. I calculated, I will be honest, I calculated on half a year, and then I calculated on a whole year. Because if we're implementing this effective January 1, when the state minimum wage changes, I looked at what everybody's current work agreements were for our classified staff. So this was specific to classified. So I took all of their hourly rates and adjusted them for this proposed increase to calculate what the increase would be, plus all of the wage-based benefits that the school district is required to pay, which includes Social Security, Medicare, retirement, long-term disability, all of that, to determine what the cost would be for the rest of this year, as well as then what would that annual cost be, because we know minimum wage is never going to go backwards in the state of Arizona. It's only going to continue to increase based off of the inflationary factor. So I calculated what it would be based off of where everybody was at now. Now, that being said, our classified staff is the highest mobile staff we have in the sense of turnover. So the staff we had of the day of the calculation, tonight you know, are looking at hiring a new bus driver or hiring a new staff member. So that number will continue to fluctuate as people come and go from the district. But we did do the actual calculation for each individual and what that would cost to the district. So while Kevin was sharing with you round numbers, we did actually do the exact calculation for each individual and what that would mean for the full FY25 year. And then we calculated that for 50% of the year for the rest of this year. So we did do the calculations behind what these proposed increases were.
So do we have that in written form so that we can look at that?
I'm looking at my other screen right now. I have a very comprehensive spreadsheet that's probably too much information than what you want to look at, but I can certainly summarize this in a memo to provide to Kevin to share with you all so you can see exactly what the cost would be. We also at the same time looked at then what would the different percentage of increases for other classifications of staff, certified and admin. So when we're looking at the big picture for FY25, we could also look at from a cost perspective as we take a look at the factors that Kevin talked about, enrollment, the uncertainty of the state budget, what that would look like from a cost perspective and whether or not our budget could sustain that. And unfortunately, in the way our schools are funded, we can't tell what our state can sustain 2 years out, 3 years out, but we can look at what our current expenditures are, our current operating expenditures are, and based off of our enrollment trajectory, what that long-term perspective would look like.
In your opinion, do you think that this all needs to be done in this meeting, or is this something that we should wait and do all together, along with the certified and the administrative staff? Or, you know, what would your opinion be?
Good question. That's a really good question. So at a minimum, we must do the minimum wage increase. Right. So that goes into effect January 1st. We have no control over that. We do have to adjust the staff who are below minimum wage. As a recommendation, I would say that you want to apply that across the classified staff because of the exact issues we were just talking about with certified staff, a compression issue. You want to make sure that we're kind of pushing that 50-cent increase throughout I want to call it the wage schedule, because our classified staff are not on a salary, they're on an hourly rate wage. So I would say at a minimum, we must do that. From a classified staff perspective, I'll tell you that in Arizona school districts, in the past, we always saw school districts applying minimum wage in July rather than January, because they wanted to kind of get ahead of the curve and be able to recruit people sooner and say, well, we'll pay you that higher wage 6 months early instead of waiting until January. However, because of how inflation has impacted districts for the last couple of years, and not just school districts, but all of us in our personal lives as well, our minimum wage went up by over $1 an hour last year. So it became a bit unpredictable and whether or not school districts could afford to do that earlier. So it's becoming more of a practice to address classified staff in January and certified and admin staff in July when contracts are issued. Now, that creates a little bit more of a divide in the sense of when those compensation increases are known and when they're communicated. but doing them multiple times during the year, as Kevin mentioned, it does require that we go in and manually adjust all of the wages for our classified staff. And as you know, as luck would have it, January 1st doesn't hit at the beginning of a pay cycle. So we're actually backing this up to the pay cycle that includes January 1st, which is not this pay period that gets paid next week, but the following pay period. So we'll be turning this around rather quickly. So I would not recommend that we do a two-part. I would say if we're going to do the 50 cent now, I would say do that now. And as Kevin mentioned, he and I are in agreement that if we're going to do the secondary stage of this and address all staff at one time, then we bring the second, I would say, phase 2 of this forward with the admin and the certified staff when we bring all the contracts forward later this spring.
Thank you. Thoughts?
Seems like the best way to do it to me.
What does?
Which way?
Well, we've got to give the, go ahead, John.
I think what's recommended is probably the best way to go.
I don't think she's recommending that. I think she's saying that's one thing we could do. I would like to make a motion that we go ahead and pass this classified salary schedule as proposed. If there's anyone who agrees with me.
I don't have a problem with it. But
So will you second? Is that?
I will second. But I don't know if there's more discussion on
Yeah.
it. You guys, I mean, if we're going to do it in the spring anyway, I don't know why we're holding up on it.
We have to do the cost of living raise now. That's pretty much a done deal. So I don't have a problem doing it in the spring, so.
Like to wait to do it?
See, I think this increase now will make a big difference for these staff members for these, between now and, because if we're talking about it again in the spring, it probably wouldn't actually take effect until next year. So that's
July 1.
Do we have
July
the
1, so
numbers
that's,
yet?
But the thing is, what my concern is that we have nothing to really view. We're looking at some of the, I don't know, I just have a problem. Some people will get, what, 50-cent raise, while others are going to get a $3 an hour raise. Where are we coming up with that? And I don't see any data telling me what.
so you want more information about
Yes,
each
I do.
individual?
Yeah, or how we even derived at coming up with such a discrepancy, even within one office, and I don't understand the rationale behind it, and I don't understand the recommendation behind it. And I guess I just want to see the rationale behind it, and why are we recommending this? Why are we saying that, in one office that we're going to have all this, I fear for, people getting upset. I mean, people find out how much other people are making and whatever, you know what I mean? I feel like there's not been a lot of thought with classified individuals involved in the process. I think it's been done administratively, but I don't believe it's been presented to classified personnel. And if it has, then show me differently on paper.
I just think it's
Hard to approve without knowing the numbers.
made a big difference with retaining people, like in transportation especially, and maintenance. And when we've done these bumps, you haven't lost people as often, have you, Mr. West? Yeah, has it been easier to hire? No.
And I've had a couple of people who have talked to me about our classified wages, and I'm just like, we're going to look into it. We're trying to do our best. Stick with us. Let us look into it. Let us try to improve it. But it wasn't meaning that it was going to be done in January. To me, it was meaning, the 24-25 school year, because that's typically how we've done it. But I want to just make sure that we're being equitable across the board. And I guess that's where I'm coming from. I want to try to be as financially, responsible and accountable as much as I can be. And I feel like when I don't have anything to look at on paper, I have a hard time doing that. I'm a visual person. And so I guess that's what I'm saying. Show me the paper and show me what's behind it and tell me how we got here. And so that's why I'm asking to table it for right now and let us work on it a little bit more and come up with something that we know it's going to be worth
How long would it
for
take to get
everybody.
some numbers that we could kind of understand where we would be at?
what we're dealing
We
with.
know it's around $450,000, I think, right?
Hear that?
Yeah, but we
That's
also,
what we were told.
but we also know there's a couple of balls up in the air right now too, that we're not sure exactly where they're gonna land. You know what I mean? So if we give a chunk of change to
That money's
classified,
been set aside though,
well,
there.
well, we hope, but then at what point do we say, and I agree, we know it's here right now, but to me, there's just too many unknowns at this point in time. That's just where I'm at. But, we got a motion in a second, so.
Karen, how quick can you get us info? When you said you've got a spreadsheet that's very involved, but you could summarize it into something I can understand.
Absolutely. And so as I'm hearing the conversation, I'm hearing a couple of different things. You want to know what the financial impact is on the district. So I feel like that's one piece, which
Always.
I can tell you right here now. I mean, I can tell you the numbers right here for a half of the year before any wage-based benefits, which are approximately 20%. We're looking at 240,000 between now and the end of the year. So you look at for the 2025. So you look at this year for half of that. The other thing I'm hearing though is a little bit more about some of the rationale for how we got to the numbers that we're at. So I will tell you, working with school districts across the state, classified staff are probably the hardest to pinpoint what is the most retainable wage and recruitment wage. And as we look at the different numbers of populations that we have in there, we probably have 150 classified staff. And of that, we probably have, I'm going to just ballpark, 40 different positions within that. So you have bus drivers and parapros that we have a number of individuals, but we have a lot of positions that are standalone one-person positions. And I do believe that it's the hardest group to recruit and retain for, because there is so much uniqueness to each individual job. While we have a couple of groups of employees that do similar responsibilities, there are more positions that are standalone, or there's only 3, 4, 5 people in that position. So it is very difficult to truly measure that against other school districts, because in the compensation studies that we do, and I'm doing several of those right now for school districts here in the Valley and in Southern Arizona, when we try to match up positions, it's not about the title. A bus driver might be a bus driver, but even a bus driver in rural parts of the state are different bus drivers than driving here in the Valley for different reasons. Some people might prefer the long roads, where others, it's a more challenging drive to drive a bus down, city streets here in Phoenix. So it's not an easy science to be able to identify. I think what we need to look at is a combination of what can we afford, and I believe that we can afford what's being proposed tonight. I would not have agreed to put it on the agenda if we couldn't afford it. I believe we can afford it. I believe that in looking at some of the neighboring comparison districts, as far as who are we going to potentially lose individuals to, I think that we can continue to be marketable with the wages that we're presenting tonight. And I think that there's just a lot of different variables. I don't know if in a classified environment, can we truly get full buy-in from all staff? Because there are so many different positions. We'd have a committee of 40 or 50 people in order to get full buy-in from everybody. And that would be the laws of committees. That makes it very difficult. Could we do more research to be able to say, okay, this is exactly what these other school district wage schedules look like? We could, but as we've even talked about with certified staff, a wage schedule is only what's published. What do districts actually implement? So if you have a special ed parapro and you have somebody who is able to do those activities of daily living, which include diapering, tubing, feeding, all of that, you're going to hire somebody and you're going to pay them for all the years of experience they have, whether your salary schedule says you get 5 years or 10 years, because those are such hard positions to fill. Same with our transportation positions, from a bus driver to a mechanic. there's just such a limited market right now that we have to try to put ourselves in the most marketable place. And we have vacancies right now. I'm looking at the list of vacancies that we have. We've got, a couple dozen classified positions that are vacant. So we know that we need to stay ahead of the curve. And I feel like these wages put us not at minimum, but a bit higher, especially for our existing staff, and recognize some of those differentials within departments or within divisions of the district so that there are those opportunities for growth and those opportunities for advancement.
Do you have anything you can put up on your screen to show us that would help us visually to see what you're talking about, Karen?
Unfortunately, no, because the spreadsheet I have has individual names, so I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
It's literally an export of our payroll system that I took what their current wages and what their proposed wage would be and what that would be annualized. So I wouldn't be comfortable putting that on the screen since it has individual names.
I can see the merit in what Karen was saying, although I would like to see, the actual numbers. But if we don't do something pretty quick, we're going to be out of folks. So.
I would rather be
like to
making a
trust
difference
her.
now.
I would like to trust her and what she's put, the work she's put in, because, if we look back, we're in a position where we've been very grateful for what she's come in and done and the advice she's given and the ways that she's running our office. And I would like to continue to trust her, and she tells me that it's workable and doable, then
I don't want our staff to not benefit from this 6 months earlier just because we,
at the same
because we
time,
want
we've
more
always done
information.
this school year by school year. That way we've
But it's-
never cut something.
But it's different since this minimum wage issue.
Yeah, no,
The
you're
last
right.
4 years we've been doing this, yeah.
The great state of Arizona
Right.
unfunded mandates. So I have such great love for them for that.
So I'll renew my motion to approve it as presented.
Okay, and I'll second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna vote no, just because I don't have the information. I am going to ask Mr. St. John's that we do make sure we have more information.
Yeah,
more
send it to us.
background when we do our next round.
Want like a breakdown by
I
department?
do.
Well, and maybe Karen can still send us information about this
I'll
one
work
too.
with Kevin on that, on specificity.
Okay, so motion passes. Yep. Thank you. 9.4, 301 Classroom Site Fund, December payment for your approval.
Motion we approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 9.5 cooperative contracts, for your approval. And this is all our contracts in excess of $100,000.
I'll make motion to approve as presented.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 9.6 Nicholas Homestead Gus Cubs Program. You guys want to talk about it at all, or? No? No? Okay. Do you guys have any questions on? No? Okay. So
I'm just really excited to see it expanding.
So am I.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. Thank you.
This is what we originally wanted in the first place, so it's great to see it coming to fruition.
So I'll
So-
entertain a motion to approve the.
So motioned.
Cubs program at Nicholas Homestead. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.7, SPED tuition assistance plan for your approval. This is for endorsements, not actually.
I was really glad to see that too. I'm glad we came up with that program. Thank you very much. And I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Sorry.
You're good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.8, Head Start for your approval.
I'm not going to be voting on this one. I'm going to abstain since I work for NACOG now. So.
Just a renewal.
Child Find.
Great. I'll
Motion we approve?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.9, Arizona State Schools for the Deaf and Blind Billing Agreement for your approval.
Motion we approve.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.10, Student Fundraising Activities for your approval. Let me see. Pops up here.
Motion we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 9.11, Donations and Gifts for your approval. I don't know why mine.
Motion we approve with
Can you read them?
gratitude. Do you want me to read them?
Mine aren't popping up.
Yeah, I'll have to find them here. Give me just a second. Okay,
list
so
there.
we received from our community donations from Solo Ford, Persickety's Cafe, Hatch Toyota, White Mountain Autism Foundation, Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories, Inc., Solo Youth Recreation and Sports Foundation. Various and sundry donations to different programs within our schools, so really grateful for that. Our community is, I can't imagine a better community. Yeah, way generous is a good word, but it's not enough for what they do. Yeah.
Their talents. So all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9.12, out-of-state field trips for your approval.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 9.13, future agenda items. There were some conflicts. Can we move our January board meeting
January?
next Thursday?
Yeah, we can. We have to move our March one for sure. I didn't, yeah, we can. I mean, that's whatever you guys want to do.
Can you
Is
guys
it- is
look
it-
and see if that-
Is it possible, so the 11th is the date.
Knowing now, the only thing I can't do is if you do it on a Thursday, I think we're good, but the city, I have to get that approved with them to use this facility.
Is it possible to go as far as the 25th, or is that too far?
Is that a Thursday, John?
Is that too late for you guys to get stuff approved?
It'll be,
Because that would just give us another 2 weeks and we'd be meeting again in February.
Why do you want the 25th?
Doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm the 29th.
Well, yeah, but you're December 29th. So I think
No, I'm January 29th.
your procedure's January 29th. Oh, shut my mouth then. We don't need to
We
change
don't
it.
need to change it then?
We don't need to
Okay.
change it. But so
And
then,
it's the 11th?
yeah, it's January 11th. So what then the issue would be having just done this, I think 4 weeks, he may struggle to be back, is my only worry. Yeah, but, so January 29th is your date, not December 29th. I thought it was December 29th, my bad.
I'll be in Mexico
January.
then.
Oh, well, I'm going with you then.
Jump in.
Nice.
So we don't-
I know the March.
Okay, so January's good,
January's good.
but we may need to visit about
May have
February.
to talk about February.
May have to talk about February.
Okay, we'll do that in January. Because we got to vote on all our stuff.
Cool beans.
Okay, thanks, guys. Anything else for future agenda items?
Wait, is January still going to be the
January's
11th
the
then?
same,
We'll
yeah.
still
Okay,
Still the same.
okay, all
Yeah,
right,
we're
the
gonna stay.
11th, all
It's a
right.
false alarm. Okay. Nothing else for future agenda items from anyone?
Okay,
Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
so motion.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Have a good, safe
Did we
holiday.
actually vote?
Thanks.